It's Mon Mothma's Holonet, and we're just posting on it. Welcome back to Mothmanet News on our 50-day countdown to Andor Season 2. By the time you're seeing this, I'll be in Japan. Yeah. Day 44. We are talking about where all roads lead to. Not Rome, not Jeddah, not Dalna, Rogue One. That's where all of this leads to. Um, right out of the gate, this movie, very important place in my heart. Nothing will ever take it away from me. I love it more than words could describe. It's a non comforting comfort watch, whatever that means. Look, I cry a lot, anyways, and sometimes I need to be able to point to a thing and be like, that's why I'm crying. And it'll oftentimes be Rogue One or Andor or some other form of media that I cry over a lot. And I am incredibly grateful to Rogue One for the incredible stories and beloved characters that have come from it. We have I think it's a middle grade book, Guardians of the Wills, with Baze and Chirrut and Saw. And then we have the YA book, Rebel Rising. We have Andor. I'm very excited to see more of Cassian and Mon and Saw and Krennic and K2 and Draven in season 2, because for a lot of these characters, Rogue One was my introduction to them. I saw Rogue One before I saw the Clone Wars, before I saw any of Rebels. So I did not know who Saw Gerrera was until I first saw Rogue One. I know I'm a monster. But I will absolutely be living in Delulu about getting more Rogue One characters in season 2 of Andor, because I want my babies back. I want to tell the story so bad, so I'm gonna do it. So when I went to go see Rogue One, it was like opening day, and it was the day before I moved out of my hometown up to pretty much the city where I live now, for all intents and purposes. It's like one city over, but it's fine. You can easily get to the other city through literally the transit that I use to get to and from work, because I work in the city that I moved up to. And I had to go to the bank and like change over all my information and get the stuff to transfer my home branch to the new bank. And this guy was wearing a Toronto Blue Jays hat in front of me, and I was like, oh, cool, like, nice hat. And he said, thank you, right? Then this guy proceeded to rob the bank. And because I had spoken to him, I was suspicious. So it was very nice. My grandfather waiting outside in the car, like, I finished my banking. Like, it shouldn't take you that long to get the paperwork. And me having to explain to the police, like, yeah, I need to let my grandfather, who sat outside in the car, know that I cannot leave the bank for at least another half an hour, because you have to like question us and do all of this other stuff. So yeah, I had to call my grandfather on speakerphone, and I wasn't allowed to be like, well, the bank got robbed. So I had to be like, yeah. And he was like, I saw police cars. And I was like, I looked up the cop and I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to say to that? Like, he knows that something's wrong. But anyways, it was hilarious. It was also really cold. And my grandfather was like, I mean, if we're still gonna make the movie that we have tickets to, he's like, are you gonna make it? And I was like, I should do. But he had to go and pick up like my brother and my grandmother, because I was taking my family out to see Rogue One, as like a thank you present. And so he had to go and pick them up. And then, they finished. And I was like, oh, like, can I just like wait here for my grandfather to get back? And they were like, no, the bank is closed for the rest of the day. And I was like, delightful. And the police were like, are you planning on leaving the area? And I was like, I'm moving tomorrow. That's why I'm here. And they were like, okay, well, we might need you to come back. And I was like, the hell. Anyways, so yeah. It was not a robbery like the Aldani heist. It was a silent robbery. Like, I didn't realize we'd been robbed until they were like, until the teller who had just been robbed, whispered, stage whispered, in the ear of the teller who was helping me with, yeah, so I'm calling the police because we just got robbed. Like, what? Anyways, it was hilarious. Because they caught the guy. Uh, the guy was like, I don't fucking know. Some girl complimented my hat. Like, that, like, what? He actually, they were like, do you remember her? And he was like, she like complimented my hat, I think. Because they had like a picture of me. They were like, I guess they believed him that we didn't know each other. Because I'm not just out here striking up that kind of conversation with people that I know. That is at best an icebreaker. Um, anyways, anyways, that's the story of how I experienced a bank robbery right before watching Rogue One. Um, but back to Rogue One properly. So I love it. It's a beautiful story. Cinematography, everything about it's wonderful. A plus casting from, you know, the lovely stars, amazing actors that were in this movie. It is so quintessentially Star Wars to me, and that's amazing. It's all about hope, and in rewatching it to prepare for Andor, and rewatching it because I want to, I can see the way that they're building Cassian into the rebel that we meet in Rogue One as a parallel to Jin. I know we've talked about that before, so I'm not gonna like hammer that home. And also like several of my friends have talked about that as well. Like yeah, Cassian's a rebel and he believes in the cause, but he's also like incredibly worldly and knows what he has to do in order for the rebellion to succeed. We see the way that his leadership skills and belief in the cause has been built up throughout the first season of Andor. And I think a huge part of that is because of Nemec's manifesto and the way that he perceives rebellion and its function. Like falling in love with Andor characters and Rogue One characters is a dangerous game. It's going to be an absolute journey, like doing that whole marathon of season 1, season 2, and then Rogue One. And yeah, I'm going to feel even more pain than ever before when I do that. It's like, shout out to the people who make it through Andor but die in Rogue One. It's like Cassian, Melshi, K2, Saw, and Krennic. I If I forgot anybody, please forgive me. But we love you, and your clocks are ticking, and I'm very sad about that. Uh, so, um, you know, like Andor, Rogue One is peak Star Wars, but it's also just like really good storytelling. Like, it not only is it a good Star Wars, it would be good even if it wasn't a Star Wars. It's not one of those things that it's like you could tell is like kind of like a knockoff Star Wars and it sucks and you're like, oh, okay. But you know, having that where it's just like, you know, if this wasn't Star Wars, this would still be really good and really enjoyable. That's a delight to me because it makes it also an easier gateway for people to be brought in to the fold of being obsessed with Star Wars. I am so grateful that this story and this arc and these characters are so beloved by everyone who watches it, works on it, all of that. And, you know, these stories are in loving hands. And I'll be genuinely sad at the end of it because of how much it means to me and how much it means to my friends and so many other people. And, you know, again, I want to do like a full massive Andor Rogue One original trilogy deep dive this summer, so I'm not going to use all my material for that right here. And instead, I will be going. Thank you, as always. You can find me at Bejeweled Mothma and Mothma Updates on social media. My panel, couple days away, Friday, 18th of April. 4 to 5 p.m. on the fan stage at Star Wars Celebration. Senator Rebel Chancellor, who is Mon Mothma. I look forward to seeing people there. I have bracelets and stickers for people who are at the convention, and I really hope that I get to give most, if not all of them out, because I spent a lot of time making them. But if you are unable to make it, it will be recorded and posted here on YouTube the day after Star Wars Celebration, because that is what my content calendar says. So I picked a date. It's also going to be kind of tied in with the last day of the Andor countdown. Like the countdown video will be very short that day. Probably just past like shorts length. But yeah, thank you, and may the force be with you.